last class we had started off with Fema Act. We discussed about the introduction and the need why Fema was introduced in place of FERA Act, that was Foreign Exchange Regulation Act. With all the LPG Act and all the changes in the economy, which FERA was really not very helping with the economic development. So the government made certain changes with the act and reintroduced as Fema Act, right? It came into practice in the year 2000. We also discussed various objectives of Fema, and we also discussed the various definitions under the act. So today let's discuss the main part or the heart of Fema Act is these two types of account, or we commonly call as two types of transaction under Fema, that is capital account and current account. So you need to understand what these accounts are, what kind of transactions fall under this category, and how is it going to affect our Indian economy, how is it going to affect the balance sheet of our country. Capital account. It refers to transactions which alters the assets and liabilities, including contingent liability outside India of persons resident in India, or assets and liabilities in India of persons resident outside India, and include transactions referred to in the subsection of 3 of the section. Now, in short, what you want to learn, what you should be learning, what a capital account is, that remember first thing, the first line, any transaction that affects the or alters the assets and liabilities is called as capital account. Okay, any transaction that affects or alters the assets and liabilities is called as the capital account. That's the first thing you need to remember, alters assets and liabilities. That's why I have highlighted. Second, including contingent liabilities. Now, contingent liabilities means liabilities arising out of a future event. It may arise, it may not arise. Okay, for example, pending lawsuit. Now, if let's say a company has falsely put allegation upon your company, okay, and they have filed a suit against you in the court of law. Now, if you win the case, you might get some compensation, or if you lose the case, you might have to pay certain compensation. Now, that payment is called as contingent liability. That means if you may win the case, you might get the money, or if you lose the case, you might have to pay the amount of money. So anything that you have to pay amounts to expense or amounts to liability. May or may not condition is called as contingent. So in put together, it is called as contingent liability. That's why I've also given you the example there, pending lawsuit. Now, who are the people who transact over here in capital account is outside India of persons resident in India, or liabilities in or assets and liabilities of persons resident outside India. Now, in case if you are a resident in India, but you are having transactions outside India, that will affect capital account. Or if you are a person residing in Germany and you want to buy a land in India, that will also affect capital account transaction. I repeat, if you are resident of India but you're having transactions in any other country apart from India, it will result in capital account. Opposite, if you're residing anywhere across the globe other than India, but you're interested in having transaction in India, that also will result in capital account transactions. So I'm going to give you a few examples for you to better understand, because I want you to understand the meaning as it is. Now here, as you see on the screen, A is a resident of India. Okay, he is a person living in India. Now he wants to buy a flat which is situated in Dubai. Now, Dubai is definitely not a part of India, correct? Hope you understand that. Now, you as Mr. A is purchasing a flat in Dubai, which will alter his assets and liabilities in India. You understanding? He is buying flat, so his assets and liabilities will get affected. Flat is a asset, so that's why I have highlighted as asset. Now this transaction I will term it as capital account transaction. Now what did I say? Alters both assets as well as liabilities. Next example. Again, Mr. A is a resident over here and he is taking a loan, not in India. Where is he taking loan? In Bank of Dubai. He is taking $1 million, whatever that currency of Dubai is, right? Dirhams. He is taking a loan over there. That becomes what? A liability. Here he is purchasing flat, which becomes asset. Here is taking loan from some other bank of some other country. That will result in liability. So in both these examples, if you can see, the transactions are altering the assets and liabilities of Mr. A, which results in, so these transactions, both purchasing flat and taking a loan, both these transactions fall under the category of capital account transactions. Now you have learned what is if he's a resident. Let's say opposite. What if he's not a resident? Let's say he's living in Germany or Japan, China, etc. He's a non-resident of India. But then he is buying a land in or a flat in Delhi. Delhi is in India, correct? So he is purchasing an asset in India. So where is the asset lying? Within India. Or let's say a person living in Japan is taking a loan, $1 billion loan from SBI Bank in India. Either ways, either it is he's purchasing asset or taking a loan from Indian bank. Again, this will result in the change or alteration of assets and liabilities of Mr. B. Is that clear? So this again will result in capital account transactions. Hope you have understood. If he's a resident, how it's going to turn up in capital account, or if he's a non-resident, these are the transactions which result in capital account transactions. Hope you have understood the concept perfectly. Now here are a few examples. Just go through it. Purchase of property, opening a foreign currency account with a bank. Now most commonly is the Swiss bank account, or if you open a bank account in any other country, being a resident in India, that will still amount to capital account transaction. Acquiring or holding shares, debentures, or any other financial instruments, because all those are in different denominations, in dirhams or in yen or in dollars. Acquisition of equity linked operating savings, investments in mutual funds units and debt securities, investment in venture capital funds, promissory notes, setting up a wholly owned subsidiaries or joint ventures. That means if our Indian company is opening a subsidiary across the globe, or across the globe if you're situated and you want to open a branch or a subsidiary in India, that also will turn up as capital account transactions. And loans to NRIs who are relatives. So all these transactions is going to affect your assets and liabilities. Okay, so these are the few examples I want you to remember very well, because in case the exam asks you, give the meaning of capital account and give few examples upon it. So you can list 2 or 3 from the screen that you can see. Moving on to the second type, current account. Current account transaction means a transactions other than capital account in nature, without prejudice to the generality of the foregoing such transaction includes. Okay, now all I want you to remember is what is current capital account. All of you have understood. What is current account is any transaction which does not fall under these categories will turn up to be as current account. For an example, private visits, or if you're going abroad for a visit, emigration, business trip, you're gifting or donating, maintenance of close relatives. That means you are living abroad, you're sending money for your parents who are living in India, okay, for medical treatment, etc. Or going abroad on employment, right? You have employment visa and all. Facilities for students pursuing studies abroad, medical treatment. Now remember, all these transactions are called as current account transactions. Okay, now either you can if you are situated abroad and you are sending money to people in India, your family members or your relatives, for their medical treatment, for their education, or for their living expenditures, or for a trip, etc., all these transactions fall under the category of current account, right? Hope you have understood the main object or the main heart of Fema Act is capital account and current account transaction. So let's look at the scope of the act. Number one, it extends to whole of India. As I told, there are very few acts which extends to whole of India, whereas major acts extends to whole of India except Jammu and Kashmir, right? We even looked at, when we are starting our Indian Contract Act, why Jammu and Kashmir is not a part of certain acts, correct? So, but this act, FEMA Act, that is Foreign Exchange Management Act, is a part of whole of India. It is applicable across India. Number two, it shall apply to all branches, offices which is situated outside India but is owned and controlled by a person resident in India. As I told, if you are an Indian company and you're opening a branch in Nepal or in China, that will also come under the guidance or within the view of FEMA Act. Next, current account transaction I've just discussed with you just previously here, and capital account transaction, that is as well as purchasing shares, debenture, mutual funds, purchasing of property or taking loan from a foreign country, etc. Understood? These are the four aspects where the scope or where the act is applicable to, or it will effectively work in these areas, in the following four areas. Hope you have understood the meaning and the concept of capital account, examples and the meaning of current account, and the scope of the act.